Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Act on Tech, where we talk all things technology and how you can use it to make your life more productive. Hi, you're here with me, Alex of Alex Custom Tech, and this is just a sit down. We're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about VPN. All right? So, let's get into it. VPN, virtual private networks. I know you guys have heard that a lot, and some of you guys might know what it is, some of you guys might not know what it is, and I'm gonna see if I can try to explain this to you. I had a YouTube video. Either it is virtual private network or virtualization. One of the two of them. I did it several years ago, and I wasn't very happy with it. I'm actually not happy with any of my YouTube videos, to be honest with you, but it's one of those things that you just have to do when you have a business. So we're going to talk about virtual private networks, right? And I'm going to try this if I can explain to you. So here's what it is, definition wise. A virtual private network is a service that encrypts a user's data and masks their IP address to protect their privacy and online activities. VPN works by creating an encrypted tunnel that reroutes a user's traffic through a remote server. That process hides the user's browser activity, location, and identity to prevent others from creating a ping in their traffic. I can't pronounce that word that's there. Eavesdrops. I don't know why they did it like that. Eavesdrops on their traffic. So it's a way to hide yourself online. Well, I think that's a simple definition of it. It's more than that. That's pretty much the basic idea behind it. But it does more than that, because if you think about it, you guys are probably at work. Say you work in New York and the headquarters is in Florida, right? And in the building in Florida, there's an intranet, meaning that they have resources that you have to be inside the network to see. The VPN creates a virtual cable from New York, where you're located, directly into that building, inside the building. So it creates an environment as if you're actually not in New York, you're actually in Florida with everybody else that's in Florida inside that building. That's that tunnel, but it's a virtual tunnel. So imagine a pipe, a big pipe, and inside that pipe there's another pipe. So the big pipe is the internet, and then there's a pipe that's going inside that pipe that nobody can see what's inside that pipe. Maybe that's not a good analogy. The tunnel that's created has it has a lock, and the only way for you to see what's inside that tunnel, you have to have the key. That's what VPN does, right? And how computers work, it fools the computers so that it think that you're located somewhere where you're not actually located. So, as it says here, it creates a private network. Now, a private network is kind of like the idea of what you have your ISP. Say you have your house, you have your ISP, which is, your Comcast, your Verizon, and they give you a little box, and you have one part that goes from your box to the pole outside your house, and then your computer and your Wi-Fi and everything is on the other side of the box. What's on the other side of the box? Let's just say on the left side of the box is the ISP, and on the right side of the box is your home network. The home network is the private network, right? That's the private network. So say you wanted your brother next door, or say you want your brother on the other side of town to be included in your private network that's on the right side of the box. You would create a tunnel from the right side of the box going through the existing cable on the left side of the box, going directly to his house, mimicking his location to be inside your house. Let's give you like 3 different analogies how it works. I hope that kind of gives you an idea. And you guys probably know about this because people talk about it in commercials. If you watch like Surfshark or NordVPN, they tell you that you can watch Netflix in other countries, and because for instance China doesn't allow you to watch certain things because they block. But if you use a VPN, you can pretend you're in New York, you can pretend you're in America, and you can get those shows because it's called geo-blocking. So Netflix only shows shows they're allowed to show in China. That's the deal they made with China. So you won't see certain shows in China because you're in China. But if you use the VPN, your device will think that you're actually in America. Hence, you'll see all the American shows you want to see. And that's how that works. So you fool the computers into where you're located. Now, VPNs are used, it's promoted to hide your IP and hide your activities online and yada yada yada. And for some degree that's true, but a lot of people need to understand it depends on who is your VPN provider. Sometimes your VPN provider can be subpoenaed to release information about your activities. So don't think that you're completely hiding yourself. Or some VPNs provider encrypted even from themselves, so they can't even see what you're doing. You got to do your research when you are going for a VPN provider. Ask yourself, like, why do you really need a VPN? 9 times out of 10 in my business, what I do with VPNs is that I connect 2 different offices. So I remember when the first time I ever done this, and there's different ways of doing VPN. Also, there's routers and firewalls that have them built in. We're leaning heavily into Ubiquiti equipment. So Ubiquiti are on our and Omada has built-in VPN configuration, and in open source world is OpenVPN. That's pretty good because it's being supported by people online that you can use to set up VPN. So what I normally do is set up VPN between 2 offices, so they can share printers and stuff like that. And again, that solution is what I used to do back in the day, but now printers, you can do online printing and that kind of stuff. But it's very good because it's very good to have the computers all connected to the same resources, and VPN helps to do that very well. So that's VPN. And like I said, it's being promoted now as a way to hide yourself online, and there's a lot of talk also about security online, and we're going to go into that in later episodes. It is a good way of doing it, but it's not just the VPN. You have to use the VPN along with incognito. You can't use VPN, use incognito, and then log into your Google account with your regular Google account. Then you defeat the purpose. So if you are gonna hide yourself online, you have to create a dummy account too, either on Google or on Hotmail or whatever, and then you surf the web with that. I'm not telling you how to do things illegally. I'm just saying, if you are going to be anonymous online, be anonymous online. But it's not just the VPN that's going to create that. It's the VPN along with other things. Now, I don't, how do I say this? I think they're well, I can't even say that because they're promoting it to make money. So they're going to lean into what the VPN can do to keep you secret marketing ploy. But that's not what VPNs are for. You understand what I'm saying? Like, VPNs were not created to keep you secrets online or whatever. That's not what it's for. It is to connect you to a private network that you're not physically located, or you're not physically there. It's a way to let you be able to access those resources without actually physically being there. That's what it's for, right? And there's other ways of doing that. Like, for instance, take a perfect example. Say you have a file you want to share. You have a file on your computer, or a file in the main office that you have. Say, a marketing file that you have. You can. There's other ways of doing that without a VPN. So you can say, okay, I have Google Docs, and use Google Docs and Google Drive, and set up a Google Drive account, and then you can put that file in Google Drive, and then you can access that file elsewhere without being at the location. Somebody who's not at a location can access that file through Google Docs. I use Google Docs a lot and Google Drive a lot because Google Drive really understands synchronization, and it's dummy proof. So I use them, and that's a way to do file sharing without a VPN, right? And again, the encryption ability of VPN is one of the things I love about VPN, and one of the things I love about, and it's because of security problems with like certain businesses, or like doctors' offices are there's laws governing them, HIPAA laws about sharing information, private information. So in that case, a good solid VPN would be very good in that situation. Say a doctor's working on a client, or working on something, our lawyer working on something at Panera Bread. He wouldn't just log into Panera Bread's Wi-Fi and work on the document, because it could be some nefarious characters in the Panera Bread trying to gather information, pulling it from off the network there. But if you use a VPN, he won't be able to get to it. So that's how the concept of encryption helps and protects the data from prying eyes. But to me, it's really the main beauty about it is that tunneling process of giving you access to the location that you're not physically at. That's one of the things I've always loved about VPN from the beginning. And again, I'm not saying that hiding your identity or being anonymous online is not good. It is, but it's how you look at it. Because, like, for instance, all browsers have an incognito mode, but that doesn't really hide your data, right? All it does in incognito mode is that whatever you do, after you close the browser, it deletes it. But when you were on the browser, your ISP can see what you did. Your network administrator can see what you did. So he might not be able to pull it from the actual computer you were on, but whatever website you went to, your IP address for that computer that you were on in that network, and he can see where you went. So the incognito does not prevent them from seeing who did what at what time. It's all there, right? Now, if you want to hide it from the ISP and your network administrator, then you would use a VPN. Okay, but bear in mind what I said earlier. VPNs don't all come in the same shapes and sizes, meaning that some VPN services that they offer, they're able to look at your data if they wanted to. Kind of like they have a master key. Even though it is a key required to open that encrypted tunnel, they can open it. right? But there's some VPNs, so like I use Surfshark for two reasons. Personally, for two reasons. Because you can't share data. Plus, you pay one price and you get on multiple devices. I'm not trying to pay for every device, so that's why I use Surfshark. But there's some VPNs, like I said, they can open your data. They can see what you're looking at, and there's some VPN that doesn't allow that to happen. So they themselves can't see what your data is, and that's the ones I would recommend. Those are the ones you should look into. Those are the ones you should try if you are going to do that. Again, ask yourself why you need a VPN. In my industry, in what I'm doing, Alex Custom Tech, we implement VPNs for location to location setup, right? Location to location setup, or and again, it'll be the same thing with information sensitive people like lawyers or doctors. They have laptops, they would need a VPN. Another perfect example of a VPN also is people who work from home. People work from home, and we know about that trend after COVID. People work from home, they have the laptops or the computers that they get from the office and they bring it home. VPN is what we use to connect back to the home office, so it's as if they're still there. They can then access all the resources on the network, on the private business network, because of VPN. But that's not your regular over-the-counter VPN. That would be set up through Cisco or through some other firewall company that's secure, and then you have your tunnel and your encryption, yada yada yada. That's how that is. So again, how they market VPNs, I don't like. Personally, the whole hide yourself online thing is not really the main reason we have VPNs. VPNs really help out with the location to location, being able to be a part of a network, a private network, without actually physically being there. That's the genius of VPNs. And just wanted to talk about that for a minute. So yes, we did I hope I explained it so you guys could understand what that is. Now again, a lot of companies offer VPN stuff. Like I told you, Cisco do a lot of stuff for businesses. Microsoft have their own, and Azure. Now, another aspect of VPN related to clouds. Remember, we talk about being able to connect to a network, but you're not located. So in the cloud, say you have a bunch of servers with Azure or Amazon cloud services. You can then use the VPN to log into those servers as if you're actually at the server farm. That's how VPN. So I'm telling you, for me, and I keep repeating myself, that's the genius of it. That's what VPN does. It mimics where you are. It manipulates the computer, the thinking that you are at a location where you're not physically at. And that's how I think it's used. Now, you can't market to general people, I guess, with that tactic, but that's how we use it in IT, right? So it's perfect for remote working. Authentication, talk about that, how it hides and it can encrypt the traffic. Now, the downside, like I said, there's a downside. I mean, you'll learn this about me as you listen to my podcast. I don't believe that there's solutions in life. I believe that there's only trade-offs. Right? I heard this from forgot where it's from. But there's no solutions in life, only trade-offs. And the trade-off to VPN, because of all that computing things happening in between the two connections, there's a lot of negotiation taking place. That's going to create latency. The word latency means that it's a delay. So when you are there and connected to the internet, everything is popping, is going, whatever speed is advertised by your ISP, you will get that speed. When you have a VPN, it's a little bit slower. It might not be noticeable. It might be noticeable. Depends on what's going on, or how it's set up, how it's configured, but there's going to be latency. That's something that's just a trade-off of having a VPN. And I think you will learn as we go along in different podcasts that I'm going to make. There is a balance you have to create when you're setting up these networks and stuff like that. Because, say, for security, you're going to give up convenience. The more convenient you are, the less secure you are. The more secure you are, the less convenient you are. So depends on your circumstances. You're gonna have to negotiate that balance. So again, with VPN, yes, you're at a location that you really not at physically are at. Yes, your things are encrypted. Nobody can see it. You can do this anonymous stuff online. Nobody know what you're looking at, but it's going to be slower, and it may drop. Sometimes the negotiations are happening constantly. Sometimes you lose connection. That's when you need to be able to have a VPN that has a kill switch if you are going to be nefarious in your actions. I'm not saying, I'll give you the facts. You know, you want to hide yourself online. You have your VPN on your computer. If the signal drops or the connection is broken, you want it to kill the internet altogether until you reconnect that connection or reestablish that connection. If it just dies and then you go on the regular internet, then everything you've done before doesn't make any sense, because everybody know who you are now, because now they know. But if you have a kill switch on the VPN, when it loses the connection, the VPN connection, it kills and severs the internet altogether. Again, I know as far as what I recommend as far as VPN, I recommend Surfshark. Surfshark has that feature where it has a kill switch where it will kill the internet connection. Okay, so now this will be for people who like sail to high seas and that kind of stuff. They might need to do something like that, or that kind of thing, right? Or will mirror what we talked about. If you are just using incognito to hide your activities online, it's not going to work. The admin can see it and your ISP can see it. The only way to hide your activity online is to use a VPN. Pick the right, but again, that's only to a certain point. The person that provided the VPN provider, may be able to look at your activity too. So you have to also set it up where they themselves don't have a key to look at the encrypted data. You want to be able to do your research, figure out a good provider, and go with them. I like Surfshark. Now again, there's other VPN providers, right? There's NordVPN, a lot of people like that. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of VPN provider. I think even Norton has a VPN, and I think Frontline or Frontnet has a VPN. Proofpoint. There's a ton of VPN providers out there. But like I said, Surfshark is mine. There's ExpressVPN. There's a ton of them. All right. I recommend Surfshark. That's my go-to VPN. As far as in the businesses, what I do for clients, I do OpenVPN because I do some stuff with open source, and we heavily use network equipment. We heavily use Ubiquiti, and I'm gonna check this right. I think I pronounced it the last time wrong. Netgear does it also. Netgear has a VPN built into their network. That'll be the TP-Links. TP-Links is the name of the other networking gear that we use heavily, that I use heavily when I set up these networks. I use those because of the remote control features of them, and then price wise, it's consumer friendly. I like the prices on them, so that's kind of why. But those have built-in VPNs in them. That's why I brought that up. So yeah, good talk about this. And again, I remember a couple of years ago, I think I took on either VPN or I took on virtualization, and it was a while ago, and I didn't like how the talk went out, because again, back then I just wanted to, had to be on YouTube, because they said, yeah, if you have no content, you don't exist. So I did that, and I wasn't comfortable with the camera. I wasn't comfortable with talking about the things that I did, and I didn't like that. But now it's good for me to revisit it on my podcast and say, hey, VPN, this is what this is really, or virtualization, this is what this is really. And so thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, I'm Alex of Alex Custom Tech, and of course you can, you want to reach out to me and get have me help you with any projects. Just visit me at my website www.alexcustomtech.com, or reach out to my social medias. Okay. Good talk. Now you know what a VPN is. All right. Take care of yourself and each other. Stay productive.